Every road is not made equal, but every road is needed in every city. Imagine a motorway that is zoned with residential houses, or imagine a local street that is zoned with industrial warehouses and trucks coming by. So in this video, I'm going to show you the top 25 road types and their purposes, from the most important down to the least. But remember, just because one's at number 25 doesn't mean that your city doesn't need it. I'm studying urban planning at university and I draw city maps freehand, and I made this table, 25 different types of roads, not because I'm obsessed or anything, but because every road has a job. And when you give a road the wrong job, it actually fails. Quiet streets become rat runs, main roads clog up, freeways back up for no obvious reasons. So I'm going to walk you through these, starting big and slowly zooming in, and show you how to actually draw roads that will make sense on your own maps. Let's start at the top. There's freeways and motorways. These are the biggest roads that you'll have in your city. They're not subtle and they're not even friendly. They're like machines. Typically 2 to 5 lanes in each direction, sometimes more. Speeds are around 100 to 110 kilometers an hour, about 65 miles per hour, and the volume. This is where people actually lose perspective. A major freeway can carry 200 to 300,000 vehicles per day. That's not normal traffic. That's actually super mind-blowing. The thing that makes freeways work isn't speed, it's about access control. Fewer on and off ramps keep traffic on the motorway flowing. There's no driveways, no pedestrian crossings, and no traffic lights. You only get stuck on the on and off ramps. That's the entire trick. On a map, freeways don't exist to serve places. They actually exist just to connect the regions. They usually skirt the city, loop around it like in London, or punch straight through it. Sometimes if they're older, they'll elevate, and sometimes if they're newer, they'll go underground. It's quite brutal actually. A classic example is the Interstate 405. It's infamous, it's hated, but unfortunately it's absolutely essential. Just below that are the national highways or interstates. They look similar, but their role is slightly different. The same lane counts and the same speeds quite often, but these roads are about national movement, freight, defense, logistics, long distance travel from one map over hundreds of maps. They often have traffic lights, lots of side streets, and they flow across the city. Then we get expressways. This is where things start getting messy and they often look like organized spaghetti. Expressways sit in between freeways and city roads. They're fast, maybe 80 to 100 kilometers per hour, but they often have intersections. Some are grade separated and some aren't. They move a lot of traffic in short distances, but they are very fragile. Europe is full of these. Now add money into this equation and you get tollways and turnpikes. Same physical design as motorways, but now access is controlled by price. Toll roads don't just fund infrastructure, they manage the demand actually. Freight pays more, and often the poor don't often use them at all. The toll roads are linked to inflation, the consumer price index, and prices regularly rise. If you want to bypass the city's streets and access the motorway with ease, I will set my toll at $3.97. It will be a constant complaint amongst my citizens. Do you think this is a fair price? Now we enter the city properly, the urban distributors. These are the roads that feed CBDs, airports, ports. My distributor stems off the motorway before hitting a bottleneck fork that motorists hate, of course. You will find that distributors are shorter roads, but they are no less chaotic. They have lots of merging, lots of weaving, and often lower speeds because of this very reason. People are trying to get somewhere fast. They carry insane volumes of vehicles over short distances, and when they fail, the city will gridlock from north to south. They are often the most hated roads in any city. Do you think the speed limit is right on my road, 40 miles per hour? Then there's a road type that people forget is even a road. That's busways or BRT transitways. They're 1 or 2 lanes. Busways don't have to be that long, but here's the thing, they can move more people per hour than a freeway lane, and that often breaks people's brains. They're fast, reliable, and brutally efficient, and mine is designed to bring people straight into the centrum and the main bus terminal. Taxis, council vehicles, and emergency services are the only ones also allowed to use the BRT lanes. Next up is managed lanes, or HOV, or what's called hot lanes. These look empty and people often get very angry about that, but they're supposed to. They're prioritizing people, not vehicles. They have high occupancy car rates. They often take buses as well. I like to separate them along the motorway so paying or high capacity vehicles can have a quicker run without having merging traffic. An empty lane can still be a successful lane in my opinion. Notice the mistake I made on the map though. I accidentally slipped. This slipway is now an abandoned freight entrance at the bankrupt Amazon warehouse. I'd quickly just draw a quarry here and colour in my motorway, and then we'll be on to the backbone roads. The first backbone of the city road is a principal arterial. These are your big city streets, 2 to 4 lanes each direction, speeds around 37 to 50 miles per hour. They don't work because of speed, they work because of signal spacing and are kind of like a spine across the map and your city. Intersections matter more than lanes here, and having lots of options for cars to enter and exit the arterial is important. But if you get the spacing wrong, congestion and traffic will be a permanent problem for you. That's why your traffic lights will be timed traffic lights, and not every intersection will need a traffic light. Below that are minor arterials, sometimes called sub-arterials. These still move across the city, but with more important access points and for shorter distances. This arterial will connect the city south to the motorway interchange, past the quarry and up to the north where a huge Westfield shopping centre is due to be built. You would drive this road for a better and smoother drive than taking the National Road to the left. This arterial has been built 50 years after the National Road and would have wider lanes and more safety features. Now comes one of the most misunderstood roads, the boulevard or avenues. People think that these are just wide roads. Well, they're actually not. They're kind of hybrids. They move traffic and create place, like my shopping strip here. They are tree-lined, have medians, and have pedestrians wandering around either side. If you treat a boulevard like a highway, you'll destroy it. If you treat it like a quiet street, it will choke, so it's somewhere in between. Paris absolutely nails these, but you can definitely still have these in your American city. Then you get transit priority corridors. These are arterials that have decided buses and trams matter far more than cars. The goal here isn't speed, but it's reliability. In the centrum, the tram line will have 2 dedicated platform hubs, one near the library and the second one near the bus terminal. This is not a road for vehicles. If you do take it, you could get stuck behind a tram and pedestrians darting across the road. The tram will then continue along the arterial along with the heavy traffic before merging off. You should avoid this at all costs. Now we step down to major collectors. These exist to collect traffic from neighborhoods and feed the arterials. Most drivers use them daily and never notice them. All the side streets are local roads, and people take the collector to either go to the north arterial or to the south arterial. That's their success, although some drivers will use my collector here to rat run and try and cut across. Minor collectors. These are smaller and rather quieter. This is where shortcutting drivers start if you mess up the hierarchy. They are supposed to connect, not carry through traffic, but quite often people do this. And that's where you set turn restrictions and weight limits on these roads to prevent drivers taking them. Next is frontage roads or service roads. These protect main roads from chaos. Businesses and residents still get access without the hassle of trying to reverse from driveways onto a 3-lane arterial, and in return the arterial keeps moving at a nice pace. Texas loves these, and so does Melbourne, Australia. Cities without them sadly suffer quietly. Industrial and freight roads are not pretty. They are wide and they have thick pavement, and they are designed to move trucks from industry to highways or ports. Mine will connect the road town quarry to the motorway. Now we hit the residential scale. Local residential roads normally have 2 narrow lanes, speeds are slow around 30 miles per hour. These roads are about access to people's homes, not movement. If strangers and vehicles are cutting through here, something upstream failed. You'll see parks and schools nearby, and often not coloured on maps at all. Next we have local access roads and cul-de-sacs. These are super low volume and low speed. They're about safety and privacy, and within a cul-de-sac they're about community. We often hear negativity about walkable cities, but I have no problem with a walkable or shared downtown centrum. Here we have no clear curbs, no lane markings, pedestrians have right of way, and there's often community and business activity nearby. The Netherlands understood this decades ago. Next we have filtered traffic streets. They are similar to the shared streets but different rules. Modal filters stop rat running without blocking access. These roads trigger outrage until people live on them, so I will put shops around them, not houses, and only give access to couriers and emergency vehicles. Next is laneways and alleyways, and these are the gems of the city. They are here to service space. They are often older than the main street itself. Some cities turn them into gold, like Melbourne's cafe scene. Others pretend they don't exist and are crime havens. My city has a huge crime problem, so I think you should avoid my laneways. Next we have emergency and fire access roads. These roads don't care about you or your drive. Their sole purpose is to care about response times. They're invisible until you need a fire truck or an ambulance. Mine will cut through the national park to service the dense forest in case of any bushfires, but also for emergency vehicles to cut from the south to the north. Next is slip roads, on-ramps and off-ramps. These are transitions and length matters. Too short and crashes will spike. Too long and land gets wasted. Interchanges where cities quietly succeed or fail are all about their ramps, and I feel my interchanges do both. Often interchanges designed in the 1960s take up a large portion of city land, but lately most inner city and downtown interchanges are underground with slip roads and ramps emerging out of the ground straight onto a city street. Now for bikes. They're important, and depending on your country may move up or down this list. For an American build, they are sitting in the correct spot, near the bottom, but in the Netherlands they would be in the second place. My protected cycleway will have underpasses over the main arterial and under the motorway, taking you straight into the national park area, but sometimes bike lanes need to share the road too, and my painted bike lane will have a dedicated lane along this arterial. With low demand of bike lanes and car dependency in my city, I think it's better than nothing. And finally, pedestrian streets and walking trails. There's no cars, these are at human scale. This is where our city will breathe, and Copenhagen proved this a long time ago. This trail will allow you to walk from a parking bay in the national park area to the inner centrum. And don't forget to add one-way streets to control traffic. Also speed cameras to secretly collect revenue. Also put them along your motorway where the speed sharply changes. You can even include a point-to-point speed area with a gantry over your motorway. Next, I will make my city's centrum a congested tolling area. Enter it and you will pay dearly. You can even label a black spot on the road for crashes and set it as a priority for realignment. I am going to also run a train line up to the centrum and include some rail crossings and bridges and footbridges before sending my train line underground. So when people say just add another lane bro, or it's just a road, no, it's never just a road. Each road has its place. And if you draw the hierarchy wrong, the city and your citizens will punish you for it. That's why when I draw my maps, I don't start with streets. I start with what does each road do and is allowed to be, and where it will go. You will need your imagination for this role, because cities don't fail randomly, they fail by design, and sometimes that is fun too.